Deb Helfrich, hashtag RedheadedSheHulk, and I'm also the founder of hashtag Wellbeing Philosophy. In fact, we are coming live from the campus of Carnegie Mellon University, where I am working with my hashtag OccupyCMU campaign to get a philosopher in residence role created for me at the university so that I can share the philosophical hypothesis of bioelectricity that leads to a unifying theory of human energy, potential, and well-being. I've sorted the hard problem of consciousness into an easy problem. And once you get consciousness correct, literally everything about human civilization starts to appear differently. The faulty paradigms of the mechanistic measurement men start to not be intractable problems of how do we fix racism, how do we fix privileged democracy, how do we demolish plantation capitalism. These problems are actually easy to solve with my proprietary life-centric thinking. Now, life-centric thinking is simply going, stuff works one way and life force works in a much more dynamic, resilient, flexible, random, creative way. When we parse out, are we trying to solve a problem with stuff, trying to solve a problem for life force, we ultimately end up with two solutions. And that is the key. Instead of being in either or, instead of saying in the world it works like this and we have to all obey decisions made 200 plus years ago that said all men were equal, ignoring more than half the human population, and really intending nobody except the few little people that look like us and have enough money and education and connections. Come on. Now, this is an update on July 4th. I have been homeless for 10 weeks. Pretty styling, eh? I'm doing this because, well, there's no place else besides Carnegie Mellon, and because of the pandemic, although I don't think that that offers a valid excuse. 24 outreaches, mostly emails, a few calls, have resulted in one substantive contact. And that was a random misdirection from the operator who sent me to a finance manager in development who was lovely and who then talked to me and understood that she should connect me to somebody that she knew on her team that was involved in wellness. That was a great substantive conversation leading to a person doing wellness at the university who was on PTO. I need help. We're going to pause while the passersby. In the parlance of the 1970s Bill Bixby version of the Incredible Hulk, which I do want to mention, has many, many parallels, including the fact that the director of the TV series, which literally is probably a milestone of starting this process of me becoming the hashtag RedheadedSheHulk, the director of that TV series was a Carnegie Mellon alumni. I was listening to the director's commentary when it came out on DVD in about 2006, and I mean, this guy was talking about everyone, everything. He just had such a recall. And I was like, well, how does somebody get to be the director of the Incredible Hulk TV series? I had posed that question in my mind, and within minutes, he goes, well, when I attended Carnegie Mellon, like, wow, so did I. And that thought has been way up there in the mix of how do I create my own right livelihood for a number of years. Another group of passersby. Busy holiday. Odyssey brief. I'm here, Bill Bixbying. In his version, he payphone up scientists, and not every episode, but quite a number of episodes, he'd get in their labs. I'm a little bit concerned that my emails are not getting me access to neuroimaging of my mold-altered brain that I discovered how to rewire around. The left brain, especially timekeeping aspects of my brain, but also the linearness of sticking to conventions of communicating in English really molded over. And I ended up being barely able to walk and talk. Still 2 years ago, there's videos of me attempting. You can tell it was efforting. And I would need to take after take after take, flub after flub, blah, 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 blah. I have done an astounding feat of self-healing, just using my thinking equipment. And in seeing some positive effects, I'm like, how is this working? How is that working? Why is this particular combination of radically cutting edge strategies based on ancestral wisdom working? And that's what led to the philosophical hypothesis of bioelectricity, which is a unifying theory of human energy, potential, and well-being. I have in my creative lexicon a global symposium based on the model of webinars, but we need sponsors to pay speakers. And the title of this global symposium is Employing Philosophy to Unite African, Eastern, and Western Approaches to Do-It-Yourself Well-Being Strategies. I'm going to go directly into pharma with this, but we're going to say that whole vast terrain of personal responsibility before you actually hit such symptomology and such a disease state that you must go to the doctor. This vast terrain of when your body's trying to inform you that you need to make changes, or you need to give it different support. That's the area that I want to create a global symposium that unites us as one species that respects African, Eastern, and Western approaches to alternative and complementary medicine, which in most cases are based on bioelectricity, not biochemistry. Biochemistry is so complex, we need to leave that to the experts. And I have a great deal of respect for all doctors, but they're in a real conundrum because they're basically prescribers of drugs, some surgeries. Drugs can only do so much. The actual fountain of health and youth is in our bioelectrical system. It is in the communications between our brain and body. It's not just positive thought. That can help a little bit. But you can't consciously keep up the volume of conscious thought required to heal your body. That's where some of the law of attraction, let's go there, or the positive thinking. You do have to audit your thinking. You can't be just going around thinking bad things. But what's really interesting is, again, I am destitute. And constantly people say, don't say that. Well, here's the thing. I'm in my own mind certain that how I interpret that phrase is I am telling you the results of where things are. I personally believe that there is abundance incarnate in my story and my capacity to be a philosopher in residence for this university. The amazing amount of financial outcomes that will occur when I start sharing life-centric thinking across the globe, when I start teaching people about the principles of Socratic dialogues, when I start performing Socratic monologues. It is astounding to me that so far nobody's invested in bringing that to fruition. So that's what I'm keeping you an update on. Early investors in this world evolving education empire. Because again, I'm going to make it fun. I'm not. If there's only one thing that I think that I'm doing differently that may be making people not know whether they should invest the time to respond, it's because of how playful I'm being. But this is the key. Being adulting, it's a toxic measure of our current society. We should all be more childlike. Work should be playful. creative. There should be dynamic flow states in every single job that exists. We want a better world, we're going to have to deal with the effects of plantation capitalism. And as I said, I know how, and I know that there is way more abundance in creating life-centric businesses than in sticking with the old mechanistic model. I'm Deb Helfrich, hashtag RedheadedSheHulk, and the founder of hashtag Wellbeing Philosophy. I'm Bill Bixbying. I'm payphoning up patrons. Holler at me first, and let's get this absolute world evolving brand of not critical thinking. Because again, there we are, how we talk about what we consider to be exquisitely complex and rational thinking, we call it critical thinking. That's a judgment, criticism. Stop with that. It's analytically creative thinking. That is the height of complex thinking. Harmony.